Welcome back to Gear 82. We have Brian and Stefan here. Today we have an episode that quite a few of you have been requesting. We've been doing a lot of Tom-related videos as of late, so thought we'd switch it up and talk a little bit about Mark's gear and in specific.
And stay in the spirit of Untitled, am I right?
Yeah.
Now, Stefan, let's, people love when we do this. Is it Untitled or is it self-titled? Go.
Untitled. Yeah,
I think so too.
I prefer just calling it Untitled. I think that's what I've been calling it since it came out. So not going to change. Can't make me. So the bass that we're talking about in Mark's was, when Brian and I were talking about this originally, we're like, which one can we do? He's got, just like Tom, so many iconic basses. Do we talk about his lettuce, like the first, the green one? Do we talk about when he went to plus 44 and the pickups got reversed? Do we talk about, when he switched to, from the Skiba era basses? Like, what do we talk about? But both Brian and I are very, very fond, if not, this is top 5 anyways, for I think both of us, for the basses. And so the ones that the one that we're talking about today is his white and black. And this is Olympic white, is it? Right, Brian?
Yes, that is correct. Olympic white, and it is named Sid in honor of Sid Vicious from the Sex Pistols. And as you know, this is a very iconic Fender standard scheme. You see it on precision basses all the time. Olympic white with a black guard. And Mark's is actually a little special. I'll just go ahead. I'm going to talk about the body later, but you'll notice right away it's got a USA American neck on there with the spaghetti logo. It's got a keychain. I think it's Famous Stars and Straps, right? Yep. And then his strap has an F on it from Famous Stars and Straps as well. I've never seen it for sale. It could be something custom that he had made, but it's really rad. And you've probably seen this bass before. The Stockholm Syndrome video, the Violence video, but it's not the same one because obviously he smashes one in one of those two, I forget which, but he was known to have had several of these that he gave away back in the day. I think it first showed up the most in 2004, right?
Yeah, that's what, when I was looking into it, that's what the year that he used it the most. Now, when it first came into existence, that we first saw it was right here, and this was a day in a life with Mark Hoppus. Is that what the video was?
I believe so, and that's like during Untitled recording sessions, and it's really hard to tell. I had to watch it like 10 times in a row, but that is the USA neck already on that bass. So like, and somebody's like, what do you mean? I'll get into the body in a second, but like, that's definitely the one with the USA neck that you see with the pink strap in that video.
So at this time, do you think this is also the same time that he would have gotten that graffiti yellow one made?
Yeah, and honestly, we've been trying to figure out, because the only info we know on the yellow, we can't even make a video on it because we don't know hardly anything, is that it was repainted after it was yellow. So, like, we don't know anything about it. It had an American neck, just like this one with the spaghetti logo. It had the traditional style, I call it traditional, but version 1 pickup style, the tradition to P-bass. And I don't know, do you know any more information about it?
No, I just know that it got repainted, and to what, I'm not sure. Because, I mean, I think we kind of know what a majority of his iconic basses anyways, but very interested to see.
We know that it was primarily seen in 2004, even though this is a 2003 video. You usually saw him with the pink in 03, and then 04 you saw the pink and the white, and then 04, I've shown this before, but this is the European 04 VIP pass that they had. You saw it in the Untitled documentary that came out about a week or two ago. I guess it's been a couple weeks now, but like, it is definitely one of those basses that was mainly around for 1 year, but people, and it wasn't even in a music video, but people recognize it, they know it, they say, that's Sid, I know that bass, just because it made an impact.
Yeah, it was during when the band was at the peak, right? So using that in Scully is Definitely recognizable. So you mentioned a little bit about, the body and how with the neck. So let's get into that because this is kind
Yeah,
of this is really really cool.
this is the part that blew my mind
Yeah.
and will probably blow anyone's mind that's into this bass like I am. So I was talking to the late Rob, his old tech that worked for him during this time, and I mean I don't know if he was the tech at this time or if he just came later. Did he come later? I believe he may have come later, but
I think it was during '04 was Ronnie, and then
okay, cool.
after
So Rob
was
at least knew about this bass, and I'd been begging him to tell me about it. I was like, man, like, so this is custom shop, right? Show me this, show me. And I didn't have a picture of the back of the neck, but the back of the neck doesn't have a custom shop logo. This bass is actually a parts caster with a regular made in Mexico Mark Hoppus bass. He was telling me about it, and on the left there, that's Sid. That's the actual Sid.
hmm
And notice the bridge is the Mexican bridge. The loaded body is from a Mexican base. On the back, he has a Mark Hoppus plate.
yeah,
It's the only one that we know of that Mark play, other than I guess Groundskeeper, is like it's the second one that we know of that has Mark Hoppus on the back plate. And it's like,
yeah,
man, like for him to be a primary bass, like obviously he plays his six sometimes. But what the story was from Rob is the last show of the Untitled Tour in '04. Watch the video at the very end when Mark's like, I don't even remember what he says, but I think he says like, "Thank you, good night," and he like takes the bass and he throws it in the air and it hits the stage. And Rob said when he did that, it put a big crack in the body, and you
yeah,
can see it in the second photo right there. And so they had that bass for a while, and he just didn't use it anymore. He didn't use it in Plus 44. That was when he started doing the reverse pickups, and it was just in storage. And then so Mark told him to do something with it, with the parts or whatever. So he took a regular American P bass body, and that's what the third photo is, and that's Olympic white as well. And then he put a white pickguard on. You can see where the hole was filled for the tone control. It has all the guts from Sid. It has this American body, and it had Sid's neck on there. And unfortunately, I mean, I say unfortunately, just because Sid was so iconic to me, is the photo on the right that you see is its new form. So Sid is no more as far as in its complete form, but it's kind of cool to know what kind of journey this bass took from being the body of a Mark Hoppus Sig with a just a USA neck. You could make this bass, the exact same bass that Mark had, and became now what you see on the right, which is just this kind of USA white Olympic P bass with one knob.
yeah,
And it does have the bass line pickups in there, obviously, the quarter pounders, and there it is.
yeah. It's just so interesting. Like that's where it evolved into. Hey, like, so did they
Yeah,
do it? Do you know if they did anything with the body itself, like the old cracked body?
I don't know, man. What a cool thing to have, though. If they probably just threw it out, but you and me
Yeah,
would be like, please let us have that. Yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know.
Probably, but it's
But he
yeah,
said that the crack wasn't in. I remember him saying the crack was deeper than just the paint. Like he was like, dude, it cracked the wood. Because I kept saying like, why don't you just like ignore it or fill it or whatever? He was like, dude, it was in the wood. And
yeah.
so
That's
I don't
crazy.
know.
So you talked a little bit about like how this was just a regular, made in Mexico body, right? So it is
Right?
noted that so Fender did release these as a signature model. A couple of differences, obviously. The big one is the neck, it being a
Right.
made in Mexico neck. Was there anything else that was different with the ones you would just get right off the shelf compared to the ones that Mark had from 03 or
Well,
04?
you gotta keep in mind his custom shop bases have a lot of little differences, but as far as his Sid base compared to
Mm-hmm.
this one right here, just the neck, man. Maybe the Schaller strap pins and a setup, but if you bought a USA neck in this base and put some Schaller strap pins on there, you're done.
Said
You
it.
just made a perfect Sid replica.
That's so crazy. That's so
Yeah,
crazy. Because
kind
a
of
lot
like
of the,
Tom with the Parks Caster
I was
Strats back in the
just
day.
about to say, like everyone
Yeah.
thinks that there was this like like full custom shop done, and it was just whatever they had kind of lying around. So probably he just wanted, because at this time Alex was still making his basses, so I'm sure they just probably had this kicking around, and that was it, right?
Yeah, and I just want to throw out here. I mean, we did a whole video on it, but this bass, all it is a Mexican body, a Mexican neck with the Mexican parts, and it's a bass that he used, Mexican bridge, but the neck is a different era than the body. So this is another one that was a parts caster that Mark just didn't care
Yeah.
and used overseas a lot, just like Sid was used in those '04 overseas shows. And the only difference is this one doesn't have the American neck. See, it's got the Mexican. So it's just really interesting
That's
that
yeah.
he's willing to play those and love them and have them as primary bass.
I know Mark Hoppus neck plate on that one, right? It's just a straight blank neck plate, right?
Yeah, just straight blank
Yeah.
silver on mine.
Yeah. So one cool thing about these basses, anyways, in '04 was, from what we were told, anyways, he was notorious for giving these out as gifts, right?
Right.
So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the that one MTV video where he was teaching that
A
girl
girl
how to play
bass.
bass, and he gave her one, that was the white one, correct?
Yeah, and we need to also specify this is part of the version, we call it 1.5. So when the Mark Hoppus bass came out, it was in Daphne Blue, Surf Green, and the Shell Pink. And then there was a 1.5, what we called, which came out '04, '05. It was a very short run, black on black pick guard, and then the
Yeah.
Olympic white with the black that is above me. So
Yeah.
like those two colors came out for like just those 2 years. Like that, I mean, I could be wrong. It could have bled into a couple more, but like that was the primary years that you saw them because then Blink broke up and they didn't just keep making them. And Mark switched to the reverse pickups. So yeah, he gave a lot of these white ones away as gifts and has mentioned before that he just can't even remember how many he's given away.
Yeah, come to think of it too, I don't think I've ever seen a black on black ever in like a music store. Like I've seen the white ones and I've seen the other colors from before, but I don't think I've ever seen a black on black.
Yeah,
Like
and
it's
he
nearly
used the
as
black
often.
on black in the reunion tour in '09, but it had the reverse pickups and it was custom shop.
Yeah, and that one he think he gave away, right?
Yeah, he gave it to somebody in the crowd.
Which is
And he said he regretted it. He said that was a great bass and he wished he hadn't.
yeah, because that's why when just to kind of circle back a little bit is
Yeah.
so what Mark would do is have, I think, a few of these basses with him in case he does want to play it, give it to somebody off stage or whatever at a concert. So this picture here is really really cool, or this next slide. So Brian, I'll let you kind of speak to this.
So we can say this bass was actually a gift that Mark gave to Doug Reich, who was Tom's late guitar tech that we lost. And the story from Doug's wife was that Mark gave this to him during the Untitled tour, and they were traveling in Europe, overseas, Asia, all those, and he had this on the truck as like with a couple others, I assume, as either giveaways or if something happened to Sid and they just needed a backup. This was there, and it had the Schaller strap pins on there, and it has that sticker on the back, that B1 sticker. Now we believe this sticker was gotten from when Doug took this bass to Tom's house, which is the photo with the child in it above me. That's actually Tom's child. We just don't want to show her on the internet. And you can see the bass hanging in the background. So Doug was given this bass and he treasured it. But then when Blink broke up, Ava was recording, and the way that his wife described it is Doug took a bunch of his guitars and basses to Tom's house, let him, because he was trying all sorts of different guitars and basses and stuff for the We Don't Need to Whisper album. And that bass was actually on the wall of his studio slash house for a long time, and you can see it in the Start the Machine documentary. You just don't know the history on this bass, like you never know what it was recorded on, and we believe that's when it got the B1 sticker. But I guess the only reason we're talking about it is one reason we were fortunate enough to get it here, And then another reason is because it's just kind of cool to think even Tom DeLonge had one in his house at some point of this white black Sid color. Just very iconic.
Yeah, and it's cool like because I have pottery right here. The B1 is it's the same. Like if you can see on the, I don't know if you can see it. It says 15.
Right, the same
Yeah.
label
So
style.
it's the same label, same font, same everything that's on it. So I think that's when they were doing the inventory for the studio. I think they probably had and then a catalog that kind of shows what it was. So it's just even cooler just to know that this was there, and then after I guess the album,
and
Doug took it.
as soon as we get this bass back from the shop, it's been in terrible storage and needs a lot of work. Stefan will get a video up showing some close-ups, and I mean it's going to be just a standard made in Mexico, but it'll be neat to see just from the history on it.
Yeah, that's really cool. So it's going to be exciting to see it when it's hung up on your wall next to the other Merc Hoppus.
Yeah,
that's going to be really cool. It's going to be awesome to see. But yeah, just all in all, I mean, just the significance, I think, anyways, from the Olympic White bass is it's just such a cool story of how it just, even though it was only here, just like Untitled, it was only here for I don't know, a certain amount of time. It still had that.
I want to say like maybe a year. It's like maybe a year and a half if you count the 03 video, but like
that's it.
Man, I just that and you would think just a plain bass like that, I wouldn't think it's so cool, but it's kind of like Tom DeLonge's Boxcar Racer Strat. It's black on black with a stripe.
That's it.
Why is it so cool?
It's it's simplicity, right? And that's honestly why I like the jazz baritone, the subsonic that Tom has so much, because it's the same thing. It's an Olympic White with a black pickguard, and the way that it's aged and everything now, like Olympic White ages so good. I don't know, just how it turns that like yellowish hue. I love it. I love that shade, and it's just, for me, it was just one of the more iconic ones like that. I put it up there with Scully
cool
and
colors to age and fade.
Yeah, it really is.
If you can find one, also we should mention the version 2, not 1.5, version 2 Hoppus bass came in translucent white, which is different than Olympic White.
So was it translucent white or was it blonde?
Oh, maybe it was. Definitely, you could see through it though.
Yeah.
Maybe it is called blonde.
I could be mistaken though.
And then it had the reverse pickups and the tortoiseshell pickguard, and then of course a different neck. And what was it? Ash instead of alder, or the other way around. Different kind of wood on there. So a lot of differences. We'll get into it when we get into the SIGs, but we just wanted to focus on Sid today.
Yeah. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have any other questions on any of it, please, you can hit us up either on Discord, on Instagram, comment on here. We say this in a lot of other videos, but if you know anybody that you think would like this, please share it. That would mean a lot to both of us, just to get that word out. Brian, anything that you want to say before we end it?
Yeah, I want to throw you on the spot and say, do you have anything cool on your desk? I'm just going to see if you do. What do you have on your desk that's cool?
I have. It's a Green Ranger.
Yeah.
He's just sitting there watching. So.
I was not expecting that, but that was an epic.
I was a huge Power Ranger fan, Power Ranger fan back in the day when the Green Ranger came on TV for the first time. Blew my mind. I went right into grade 4, and I was just like,
they couldn't use it anymore because they ran out of footage, and it was like, no.
Yeah, that's a backstory and a half by itself. But anyways, guys, thank you so much. We appreciate everything. Please keep sharing, liking, subscribing, everything. It really does mean a lot to us. So thank you very much, guys, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.